I think this is probably a good time. We're already in this like on an RMR qualifier discussion, or we were like all over the place really about like just joining back into CS. But like you want to revisit this RMR topic. I think you wanted to touch base on this, and then I want to pivot into the ESL 1x gaming or 1x bet partnership thing as well. Because we're on the topic of ESL. They're running the qualifiers right now. So we had the Switch thing. We had getting involved with Counter-Strike. Now, what's going on? Like, what is one of these issues with the RMR that we missed last week?
Yes, right. Obviously, we
didn't get anything wrong, technically. It's still about visas, right? That's the reason that ESL are saying they're running the RMR in what was it, Malta? No, Malta is EU. It's Stockholm for North America.
For the Americas one, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically, the problem is this, right? Because on the last episode, that was a story that we just dropped in there and we haven't looked into. Like, this is where I'll break the fourth wall again. What people don't know is stories like that are Richard's specialty. That's more his world. I just know the basics of it to talk about shows, or if like I really don't like the person, like if it's some ESL angle, maybe I'll look into it, you know. Obviously, that's more Richard's world. So when we'd have these shows normally, he not only has every detail and behind the scenes info, like the real things that are going on, but he also, crucially, he like sort of knows what points he's going to attack there, and he'll usually have them all set. Whereas the problem is when you brought it up, my take was a bit shit, like it was a bit shallow. I basically just said like, well, if it's true that they can't get the visas and obviously you can't get into certain countries, then whatever, I guess you have to hold it where you can hold it, right? But actually, I was myself being a bit naive and I wasn't giving a deep thought to the topic. Because as Richard pointed out, and you can go and see this is where the whole tweet thread came from, if people don't know, about like, I mean, eventually it came into like the flying DJ was arguing with him. I don't know, Apicella was coming in. Sean Apollo was coming in from ESL. Because by the way, he's like the one. The joke is he's like the one that can actually talk and isn't just universally despised. So you bring him in when you want people to like you. Like I notice he often does the apologies, etc. It's a bit like that old Bill Maher joke about fucking George Bush. It's like just let Tony Blair talk when you're doing the coalition stuff. Just let him talk, mate. Like you're obviously way better on camera than he. So anyway, when they were having this back and forth, Richard made some very good points on Twitter, which is basically. Actually, a lot of that doesn't fly. Like the idea ESL can go, well, visas, so, you know, what could we do? No, actually, wait a second. Let's just examine that for a second. So what you're saying is you're holding an event where a team from Brazil to qualify for the event in Brazil have to fly to Europe and go to Stockholm. And not only that, a few weeks before the major, they have to radically shift their whole time zones, go play in a different continent, then come back to Brazil. Meanwhile, by the way, if you were from certain other regions, you'd actually have a better scenario on travel. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that is kind of illogical. Then add in the other detail, which he brought up, which is a very valid one, which is when you say that, like, well, visas, what can you do? I mean, you knew you were going to hold this event in 2020. By the way, the majority of 2020 was obviously affected by you know what, and we all had to go online, and visas became difficult. So I assume you already must have been looking into contingencies. What happens if we can't get visas for the players? When do we cancel the event? If you remember, they cancelled the event some mad, outrageous times, like a month before it was supposed to be held or something insane. I remember thinking, fuck anyone who's bought these tickets then. Like, imagine having flights and hotels booked. You're not getting that money back, by the way. That's just gone. So in that scenario, I already thought it was irresponsible, but they waited till the very last minute, presumably because they thought the event could happen. Then, the whole time, remember, the rumour was maybe last year the event's going to happen in Brazil. Didn't happen. It got pushed, and obviously PGL got Stockholm. So the whole time, ESL has been aware, we're next on deck. When we get a chance, we're next on deck. When Brazil's open, we're next on deck. So if you've been waiting for 2 years, and you've been waiting the whole time, you knew this was going to be a problem. What's actually happened, I think, is maybe you have left that till the last minute, or maybe something's changed and you haven't thought it through. And basically, despite the fact compared to any other major ever, in theory, ESL could have had the largest ramp up. Could have been years at this point in time. They've had so many opportunities to look into this. Actually, it is a bit whack. Because here's the key point. It isn't as simple as, oh, it's visas. Because as people pointed out, there's different aspects. Like maybe you could have held, maybe you could all meet in Mexico or something. Maybe there's islands you can go to. You know, there's certain islands where there's certain status isn't the same for the. The point is there were potentially solutions, but it seems like ESL, because this is a classic ESL move. I don't know if you noticed this, Semmler, we've often talked about on this show. All the TOs, when they work with Valve, because Valve doesn't tend to make public statements, they call that bluff every time. And what they do is they always say, oh, is there something you don't like about the major? Valve makes me do that. I have no say in that whatsoever. And because Valve never calls them out, they always get away with it. And ESL, by the way, are criminal offenders for that. ESL always claim everything is Valve's fault unless it's something good. And then they're like, yeah, we actually suggested that get included. Because that's ESL for you. It's just how they do things, mate. So my problem in this particular case is, like, I get the vibe. Once they realised they hadn't sort of done this that well, they'd fucked up some of the logistics. They were like, well, you know what? I mean, if we say visas, people know they're hard to get, so it'll be the ultimate get out of jail freak out. Just say, whatever the visas, you know the world, guys. It's all bloody closed, isn't it? You know the old, what, you know what, last year, the old coof. And then that's like, sort of, then they just rizzle-dizzle the way out the seat. Well, exit stage left. But actually, when you think about it, it does seem like they've sort of shortchanged the scene a bit. And especially if you're from this America's RMR, it seems kind of whack. And by the way, one last point. I thought the stupidest take of all time. So get ready, guys, in the Twitch chat. You'll probably want to type this directly in there and say that's your take because you all have to disagree with me. The stupidest take ever was when one of those fucking reply guys tried to come in and jump into this debate where Richard was pointing out how fucked it up was to travel. And this is his real take. Right, look at these two scenarios I'm going to create. The scenario we're talking about, Semmler, is Brazilian team wants to qualify for major in Brazil, have to fly to a different hemisphere and continent, play there, then come back to Brazil. This is what he thought was a comparable scenario. He goes, yeah, but during PGL Stockholm, weren't some of the RMRs in, like Romania? So let's just go on a map. Romania to Sweden. Now let's do Sweden to... Is this a fucking joke? Like, how is that even comparable? That's not even... One of them's even in the same time zone, you twat. It's exactly the same. Like it's going to be so close. It's a single flight. I mean, the real joke is it actually ended up... If people don't know, as a random aside, we actually couldn't have direct flights from Romania to Sweden because of all that shit with fucking Belarus where you'd have to fly over it. And they had that issue with the whole, like, when they'd landed that plane, hadn't they, and, like, forced that, like, guy into prison or whatever the fuck. So as a result, like, they actually literally ruined our trip. The point was, it would have been like a 2-hour flight or something ridiculous. Like, that's not even a comparable situation. So when I actually look back at it now, I do think ESL's sort of excuses are a little bit whack. It seemed like they didn't really try that hard. And then also, I actually do sort of agree, Richard. I think that is a bit unreasonable to expect the players to put up with that, especially when you are just sort of going, well, as usual, except they now did apologise. You never do apologise for it either, do you? Except eventually they had Apollo come out. There's the other thing I know. You know what, I said that, but I'm so right. If there's ever an apology, I don't even need to click it, mate. There's no way Carmack and Flying DJ's in there. As you see, it's going to be Apollo, who's spoiler. And you never see him on anything in CSGO. He's always on StarCraft, mate. But magically, we need someone to eat shit in StarCraft.
Carmack's like, responsible for IEM now.
I'm actually allergic to shit, so I can't eat that. And then the Flying DJ's like, look, I'm German and I've already eaten loads of shit today because it's our culture. It's almost our culture and sexual identity, isn't it? Eating shit. But I'm full now. Also, that doesn't have whatever, like, I don't know, fucking, it's not, it's not breaded like a chicken nugget. So obviously I couldn't enjoy that cuisine. Listen, it's actually because he was a DJ guy that we I don't know if you know this, but I actually have a secret nickname for the Flying DJ, and it is Scatman John, but that's more because of his past as a DJ, obviously. He was in the music, you know. It's not because that's who he is and that's where he does his business, so continue.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever. Listen, ESL can get on this show till the end of time. I don't give a fuck, mate.
They will. I think I'm going to hop in on this one a little bit because the way that I saw this whole thing was that to be charitable to ESL, I know that's not popular, but sometimes I do try to see it from other people's perspectives. And so to be charitable to ESL, I think in their minds, they're probably thinking they need to maintain the integrity of the event more so than the location of the event. And so rather than take the risk, because you're right, we could go to Mexico. Mexico is actually one of the top destinations right now just because it's easy to get visas and you can stay for 6 months or something like that. And it's totally legit living standard. If you're in like Mexico City or something isn't too bad. You can be totally fine. I'm just saying,
if you were to catch, say, like flu-like symptoms, you could just go and immediately take hydrochloroquine and ivermectin. You'd be totally fine, wouldn't you? So
it would be totally fine. Actually, also
just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, just throwing it out there. So
and
like everyone used to before. Before all the lies, so keep going.
What was it? Shit. No. So like, I think rather than run an event because the problem is, so you can get the players there, but you need to have a venue, you need to have PCs, you need to be sure that you have a competent crew there who can actually run the event to make sure that it runs smoothly. Standards have to be met for the players now. The players expect a certain level of treatment in terms of catering, in terms of hotels, in terms of all that sort of stuff. So I'm just thinking, as far as ESL are concerned, for the Americas region, maybe this is being too cynical, right? Because it would have probably been different had it been the EU region. But for the Americas region, they're probably just saying, listen, we have this studio in Stockholm. It's going to be far easier.
They've done loads of stuff there. Yeah. If people don't know, they've done like the RMRs in Europe there. I think they did like a pro league there.
It's the old DreamHack studio. It's the old DreamHack studio, the DreamHack Monster studio back in the day. And then, when DreamHack got wrapped into ESL, it became the ESL studio. And now it's the ESL studio here in Stockholm.
Semmler.
But it's a great studio. And
I don't know if you said it on this show. I'm sure you said it somewhere else, like Twitter or something. But you had a fucking fire line that got so slept on. I was laughing my ass off when I remembered this. Your joke was they absolutely could have held the event in the US. All you do is go to Mexico and then you can just cross the border. It's like, not only is that amazing, but then the other reason it's amazing is because I'm just imagining an image of like fucking KNG, like trying to go over there, being lassoed by one of those guys. Like, you know that image? Like, get over here, boy. Like, that'd be fucking hilarious. I know.
Lassoed at the border. Dude, those poor cops. They've been
I know, it must be the worst job in the world, isn't it? I know.
Now, and they're still trying to come after him, even though it was all debunked. Oh man, fucking nightmare for those cowboy dudes. But yeah, dude, it's obvious. It's just like just go to Mexico, walk across the border. There you go, and then you can catch a bus. I'm told you can catch, if you're going through Texas, you can catch a bus up to New York too. It's all good. You know, then you're in the heartland.
Also, I haven't looked into it, but like I wouldn't even put it past ESL if, like, you know, obviously they used to be owned by MTG, a Swedish company. I wouldn't even put it past ESL if through like 15 shell companies, like that one quality hotel they keep holding the event in just like is owned by that company that was giving themselves a discount and like tax write-offs or something. Like that's probably also on the fucking cards if you looked into it, if I had to guess.
There's all sorts of, I mean, it's just, it feels like this is, I just think that it's not worth the risk as far as ESL are concerned to try and put together an event, even with months notice, and like just the cost of putting together that event in South America for a qualifier when they already have a venue, they already have staff, they have production, they have everything they need to run an event here in Sweden. They're just like, listen, we're going to hurt some feelings. Moses is going to cry about it on Twitter, but fuck it. People are going to forget. They're going to be much more concerned about good CS and making sure the qualifier runs smoothly. It has a decent stream. They're going to be much more concerned with that than where the event geographically has taken place. So I think ultimately, you know, they were doing the balance, you know, and they were just like, yeah, fuck America. Like, we're not going to do it there, and we're not going to do it in South America. We're going to run it in a controlled environment, and we're going to go from there. And I think that's pretty much it. I legit don't think they expected to get any blowback on it. And if they did, then you know, it was going to be that tactic of just like, oh, we'll just move on. I'm surprised Flying DJ, you know, well, I'm not surprised Flying DJ needs to address anything that takes place with ESL, but like, why didn't they just let it just blow by? You know, why address it at all and come out with like an apology or any of that? It's just like, don't even bother. The number of people who are getting worked up about this is minuscule, and people are going to be much happier just having an event run competently. They're going to forget about the whole geographic thing. It's never going to be an issue.
You are right, but the problem is, like, that is essentially the flame that they will never be able to fucking resist as the moth, as it were. Because basically, one of the biggest problems with the esports industry is it's one of the most incredibly narcissistic industries in the entire world. As in, everyone who works in the industry is obsessively talking about the industry. Even though to everyone who doesn't work in this, no one gives a fuck. That's the least important part. They just care about the games. So what happens is, famously, people at ESL do care about what people think on Reddit about casters or talent or what's going on with it. And to them, if there's a big Reddit thread with 300 comments, that is the end of the world. The sky's on fucking falling. Like, you know, pants are on fire. Help, help, help. Get it out. Whereas what they don't realize is, yeah, you're right, Semmler. Half of these things, if you just gave it radio silence for 2 days, it's over. Like, people like me would be bringing it up, but that'd be about it, you know? Like, beyond that, you can easily kill this with silence. But the thing is, though, I don't think they can, because essentially it's a way to make yourself more important again. Like, as fucked up as it sounds, even the fact that I must make a statement on it, like, that makes you already super self-important, doesn't it? You know, like, well, I must come forward and let the peons know why I must do this. Because what I love about the Flying DJ and ESL in general is the way they managed to like perfectly emulate that fucking sort of tone that like British upper class people have, where the whole vibe is like, look, you silly peons could never actually rule yourselves, you peasants. I must graciously dominate and rule you. I'm the only one who knows what's good for you. They always have that vibe when they're explaining. Like when ESL explains why they fucked up, it's almost like they're explaining why you're fucked up for thinking they fucked up. Like, and then the joke is at the end, like, but I accept your apology, fans, for why I
did exactly. I accept your apology. Thank you. I'm glad we could get past this.
Because you know, it's nothing ever is their fault. There's always some fucking reason. Oh, it's because of this, because of that, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, when Flashpoint fucked up, I would just go, yeah, we apologise, we fucked up, our bad. And then everyone's like, oh, look, he apologised, weakness. I knew it was shit all along.
Well, this is the we're gonna just go ahead and follow that line, because it's exactly right. On topics that don't fucking matter, they will jump in on. Absolutely. On topics, however, where you get an entire write-up and journalists reaching out to you to address it and to get comment on it, there will be no comment. They are still our sponsor.
This is the other problem. Think about it, right? Also, these guys do come from the old days where they ran ESL, right? I'm sure now they try call up the head office like, oh yeah, people are saying something about us online, like, just shoot them all. It's like, no, you forget we're in the West, we can't do that. Like, oh, okay, well, call me again. Like, fucking hell, mate.
Call me back.
I guess that's what happens. So actually, compared to what, HQ's probably suggesting, Flying DJ is probably quite a reasonable person. His compromise is just to tell us what's happening on Twitter, not even shoot us or anything.
Can't throw us off a building, off a rooftop, or any of that sort of stuff. Yeah, fair
But you have to understand, one thing they love at ESL is yes men. Now, Yemen don't like that. I know it's easy to... I know it's...
God, I can't bring that up.
Whatever.
Oh, dude. I mean, definitely don't mention it. It's not a problem.
No.
Nothing happening there. All good.
They're not even good at CS, so really, who gives a fuck about May girls? Just saying.
There you go.
Just saying.
I'm just going to go ahead and take a quick moment to plug Richard's articles. If this kind of topic is interesting to you, Richard has been doing some great work over at the Certo. He's been esports behind the Iron Curtain, and he addresses the Saudi Yemen everything that's going on there. It's definitely worth a read. It's he's churning out the articles over there. He's doing good work.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.